Have you ever wondered why some guys just have that natural magnetism that just draws women to them? Or why guys who do the NoFap challenge or abstain from masturbation say that they experience a lot more attraction from girls than when they were masturbating? Well, I'm going to explain to you exactly why that is and how you can develop that natural magnetism yourself here in a moment. But first, let's ask the girls and see what they say attracts them to a man. Okay, so other than physical attraction, what is it that attracts a girl to a guy?
I would say that his confidence is a big one.
Confidence.
Probably for me, confidence.
Confidence, their energy, their vibe.
His vibe.
His vibe.
His energy.
His energy.
I think compatible energies are really important.
Like the smile too.
Okay.
And like the words they say, they can't just be like, oh, what's up, ma? Or like, I hate that. Like, I think that's disrespectful.
Right.
So they're like, hey, ma'am, or like, how are you? So yeah, something nice, something genuine.
If someone has a lot of confidence, then that immediately attracts me to them.
Confidence, like having a good energy.
He's smiling and laughing and having a good time.
Confidence? Confidence. A guy has to be confident.
A guy has to be confident.
What exactly does a confident guy do that even gives off the impression that he's confident? I mean, how can you tell that he's confident or not?
When you talk, I guess. You're just
It's just how he carries himself, his body language, and the way he talks. He just has a certain aura.
I think it's just when he isn't afraid to put himself out there and try to start conversation with someone.
He's sure of himself without being overly cocky.
He's not afraid because of rejection.
Okay.
Even if he thinks the girl might say no, he still talks nice and tries to get with her.
Right.
Kind of it's oh, this guy has a lot of confidence. He can talk to me.
He just has a certain vibe, and his energy just kind of pulls you in.
And girls' consensus.
Well, yeah, girls are usually pretty sensitive, so you can kind of sense that right away.
So it's his energy that attracts you then?
Yes.
So they say that a girl can tell within the first 30 seconds whether she would sleep with a guy or not. Is that true?
I think it's true for some girls, not all of them.
Okay, so you heard it from the girls themselves. Girls want a confident guy. But most importantly, the main thing that attracts a girl to a guy is his energy, his vibe, right? Well, in order to validate this, let me explain to you exactly what's happening here that's creating that attraction. Now, when it comes to attraction between people, there are two main laws of energy at work here. The law of polarity and the law of attraction. The law of polarity states that opposites attract. Now, this is different than the law of attraction, which states that like attracts like. When we're talking about the law of attraction, we're talking about frequencies. Like frequencies attract like frequencies. But when we're talking about the law of polarities, we're talking about poles, not frequencies. So when it comes to polarities, opposites attract. Some examples of poles are the positive and negative poles of a battery, the north and south poles of the earth, or a magnet, and masculine energy versus feminine energy, etc. Now, by nature, there is a natural magnetism that's created between two opposite poles. The positive and negative poles of a battery create an electrical flow. The north and south poles of the earth or a magnet create a force of magnetism, and the masculine and feminine poles between people create a flow of sexual energy. And those are the two poles that pertain to the topic of this video, masculine and feminine energy. Now, what most people don't know is that everybody, regardless of gender, is comprised of both masculine and feminine energies. Although we have one dominant energy, which is our core energy. For most men, masculine energy is their dominant energy, and for most women, feminine energy is their dominant energy. But this isn't always true for all men and women, because there are definitely some guys who are more feminine and some women who are more masculine. Here is a chart that compares the traits between the two energies. Now, when a person, regardless of gender, embodies more masculine energy, they will take on more of the traits listed on the left side. And when a person embodies more feminine energy, they will take on more of the traits listed on the right side. See, masculine energy is a forward-moving energy. It penetrates. And feminine energy is a receptive energy. It receives. So you can see how the traits between masculine and feminine energies are actually opposite of each other, right? Because they're opposite poles. And again, by nature, opposite polarities attract. And the more polarized the person is, the stronger the attraction between them and a person of the opposite pole. So, in other words, the more masculine energy a man embodies, the stronger the attraction a feminine woman will feel towards him. But if a man is lacking masculine energy, this will create a weaker polarized effect, meaning less attraction that a feminine woman will feel towards him. Now, there are some things that you can do to increase your masculine energy, but I'll get to those later in this video. Now, there's also something that's called the law of state transference, which basically means that whatever you feel, she feels, okay? Because remember, masculine energy is a forward-moving energy. It projects outward, right? And feminine energy is a receptive energy. It receives energy, right? So she's going to receive whatever energy you're emitting at any given moment. So if you approach a girl and you're in a positive state of mind, you're feeling confident, you're happy, you're in a high vibrational state, she will feel that. Even if she was in a bad mood before you approached her, your energy will uplift her and she will naturally feel attracted towards you. She would want you to stick around because she wants to receive more of that energy. But on the other hand, if you approach a girl and you're in a negative state of mind, you're feeling anxious and nervous, she's going to feel that. Your energy is going to bring her down, so she's going to feel repelled by you and want you to go away. So that's how attraction works between masculine and feminine. So why do guys who do the NoFap challenge or abstain from masturbation say that they experience a lot more attraction from women than when they were masturbating? Well, in order to understand why, let's talk about something called sexual energy. If you've ever read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, in one of the chapters he talks about the power of our sexual energy and how all men of genius use their sexual energy as fuel for their creativity. See, our sexual energy is our creative energy. It is our vital life force. Through it we give birth to new life. That life may be children or it might be new ideas and projects. It is the energy that drives us. And when a man's sexual energy builds up inside of him, he is driven, motivated, creative, energetic. His actions become more masculine. But when a man's sexual energy is depleted, he feels weak, timid, lethargic, unmotivated. A man that depletes his sexual energy loses his drive and feels less masculine, therefore taking on more feminine traits, and as a result, he embodies more feminine energy. See, men release sexual energy through ejaculation, so masturbation expends sexual energy. A guy who masturbates excessively keeps depleting his sexual energy, never allowing it to build up enough to give him that sense of power, that drive, which also creates a weaker polarized effect, therefore resulting in less attraction from women. But a guy that does refrain from masturbation stops depleting his sexual energy and allows it to build up inside of him. He becomes filled with energy, he develops a sense of power, he becomes driven. His actions become more masculine, resulting in an increase in masculine energy, creating a stronger polarized effect which naturally attracts the feminine. So, the more sexual energy a man can contain, the more driven he becomes, and the stronger the polarized effect that draws women to him. But the problem for most guys is that they have a hard time containing their sexual energy long enough for it to build up. And here's the reason why. See, we develop these blocks within our energy system that prevents the energy from flowing freely. So the energy gets stuck. And as more and more energy gets backed up behind these blocks, the more pressure it creates. And we experience this as inner tension within our bodies, which makes it very uncomfortable to contain this energy. And the only thing that we can think about is releasing that energy in order to relieve that pressure. So most guys will just go for the quick release and masturbate. And he'll feel relieved afterwards, but the problem is he just wasted his sexual energy. He just released his sexual energy into a tissue rather than transmuting that energy and channeling it into a creative outlet. And for most guys, this is a recurring pattern, constantly depleting their sexual energy, and as a result, they lack that drive. So they remain stagnant, unable to move forward in life. But if there weren't any blocks within our energy system, then the energy can just flow freely and build up inside of us without getting backed up and creating that uncomfortable feeling, that pressure. And we wouldn't feel the need to release in order to relieve that pressure. We can just allow our sexual energy to build up. See, these blocks take up space within our energy system, which means less sexual energy that we can contain. So we already start to feel backed up as soon as just a little bit of that sexual energy starts to build up. But if we remove these blocks, then we create space within our energy system and we can contain more sexual energy. And again, the more sexual energy that we can contain, the more driven we become and the stronger the polarized effect. But to reach this state, you have to remove the blocks to allow the energy to flow and build up. So how do you remove these blocks? Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but let me first explain what these blocks actually are so that you know how to remove them. So, these blocks that we develop in our energy system are suppressed emotions. See, the problem is that most people don't even know how to process emotions properly because we've never really been taught how to. I mean, they don't teach us this in school. Our parents don't really teach us. If anything, we're taught the complete opposite. We're taught to suppress emotions. We've been conditioned to believe that showing emotions are wrong, especially for us guys. We've been conditioned to believe that men are not supposed to show emotion because it shows weakness. It's unmanly, right? Well, by adopting this belief, look what it's done to us. We've become oppressed, and the world is going crazy because of it. So, because we don't know how to process emotions properly, as soon as we start to feel a negative emotion, our natural reaction is to shut it down, to suppress it, so that we don't feel it, because the feeling becomes too overwhelming. Because when we don't know how to process an emotion properly, then the feeling can linger on for an extended amount of time. But if we did know how to process emotions properly, then we could discharge the emotion within just a few minutes and let go of the issue that was triggering that emotion and be done with it, rather than harboring it inside of us for years, resulting in suppressed emotional trauma, which creates the blocks within our energy system. See, emotions are energy, and energy wants to flow. That's the nature of energy. So there is a natural force that is pushing these emotions, this energy, through us. So in order to stop this energy from flowing so that we don't feel the emotion, we need to create a counterforce to push it down, or in other words, suppress it. And this counterforce usually comes in the form of muscle tension and addictions. See, when we suppress emotions, our muscles tense up in order to stop this energy from flowing through us. And the stronger the emotion, the more the muscle has to contract in order to stop it from flowing. And when the emotion becomes too strong, we turn to our addictions to numb or suppress the feeling. And our addictions just cause more problems. Imagine if I took a soda bottle and I shook it, and I gave it to you to drink, without you knowing that I shook it. So you start to unscrew the cap and the soda starts spilling out everywhere. Now, without even thinking, what's going to be your natural reaction? Right away, you're going to tighten that cap back up, right? In order to stop the soda from spilling out, right? Well, that's basically what happens when we bottle up our emotions. The more stuff we have bottled up, the harder it's going to be for us to loosen up. Because we unconsciously develop these muscular holding patterns in order to prevent all that stuff from spilling out. So our muscles remain semi-contracted all the time. So it becomes very hard for us to relax, especially in social situations when we're around others, because we don't want all those things that are buried inside of us to spill out and become exposed. All these unresolved issues that we have buried inside of us cause our insecurities, and we try to hide it from others. And also, because these emotions are energy, these suppressed emotions that we have buried inside of us have their own vibrational frequency, which affects our overall vibration, which determines what we attract into our life. So not only will these suppressed emotions weigh us down because they block our life force from flowing, but they will also act as a magnet, attracting things into our life that are a vibrational match. So for example, if you have a lot of suppressed anger, that suppressed anger will act as a magnet, attracting things into your life that make you angry. It's the law of attraction, right? Like frequencies attract like frequencies. Let me give you this analogy. Let's say that you put this magnetic vest on, okay, and then you just put your regular clothes on over it. And then you go about your day, you go to work, you go to the gym, whatever it is that you do, and you forget that you even have this vest on. And all throughout the day, you notice that these metal things keep flying at you and sticking to you. You sit at your desk and paper clips keep sticking to you. You walk into the kitchen and the silverware starts flying at you and sticks to you. And you start to get irritated and upset because every room you walk into, these metal things keep flying at you and sticks to you. Well, there's no reason for you to get upset because you're the one wearing the magnetic vest, right? If you want to stop attracting these things, then you have to take off the magnetic vest. I mean, it's common sense, right? Well, the same thing happens when we suppress our emotions. As long as we hold on to these suppressed emotions, they're going to act as a magnet that attract things into our lives that are a vibrational match. And there's no one to blame for that but ourselves because we're the ones holding on to the magnet. If we want to stop attracting things that we don't want, then we have to eliminate the things that are attracting it to us. We have to take off the magnetic vest, right? Metaphorically speaking. So you can see how it's our energy that determines what we attract into our lives, right? It's what's inside of us that counts. And you could try to cover it up all you want, but it's not going to matter. Say, for example, you had two magnets. And those magnets are either going to attract or repel each other, depending on the orientation of the poles, right? Now, say you took a piece of paper and you wrapped it around one of the magnets. Do you think that piece of paper is going to stop the magnetism between those two magnets? No, the magnetism is still going to penetrate through that paper. that magnet is still going to attract or repel the other magnet regardless if it's covered up or not. So again, it's our energy that determines what we attract into our lives. And you can try to cover it up all you want. You can spend hours at the gym trying to develop the perfect body. You could spend all your money on a nice car and expensive clothes. But if you don't work on your inner self, then all that stuff won't even matter. It's like you trying to cover up a magnet with a piece of paper. No matter how much you suppress your emotions, no matter how much you try to cover it up, it's still going to attract things into your life that are a vibrational match, because it's our energy that determines our magnetism. So if we want to change what we attract into our lives, then we have to change what's inside of us. We have to heal from the inside out. If we just keep using our addictions to suppress those emotions, we'll get relief from the symptoms temporarily, but those symptoms will just keep coming back because we're not dealing with the root cause. We're just treating the symptoms, so the problem remains. The problem is not our addictions. The problem is what lies underneath those addictions, our suppressed emotional trauma. That's what's causing the addictions in the first place. Imagine a life where you are free from your emotional baggage, free from your insecurities, free from your addictions, social anxiety gone, and you're able to socialize with others and open up to them because you have nothing to hide. And you can step out of your comfort zone fearlessly and have the confidence to take on whatever comes your way. Well, anyone can develop this state if they would just clear the emotional blocks within themselves and allow their life force to flow. And to do this, we have to fully process our suppressed emotions. There's no other way around it. So we have to go through the detoxification process. We have to eliminate our addiction because beneath every addiction lies some emotional trauma. When we remove our addictions, then we allow whatever it is that we're suppressing to come up and be processed. And then you would just need to know how to process emotions properly to dissolve those blocks. But before I explain how to do that, here's what needs to happen. First, eliminate your addictions, whatever they may be. Whether they be drugs, alcohol, porn, junk food, sugar, caffeine, whatever it is, eliminate it. And stop masturbating. When you stop masturbating and stop depleting your sexual energy, this allows your sexual energy to build up inside you. And as your sexual energy starts to build up, it will start to push on these emotional blocks that you have within your energy system. Because energy wants to flow, right? So it's trying to find a way out. So as more and more sexual energy builds up, the more pressure that's put on these emotional blocks. You will start to feel more inner tension, and it may start to feel more and more uncomfortable. This is when most guys will resort to masturbating in order to relieve that pressure, because they just can't take it. But if you can resist masturbating and just allow the sexual energy to build up, then those suppressed emotions, as long as you don't suppress them with other addictions, will be pushed to the surface for you to deal with. And at this point is when you come face to face with your demons. You will start to feel those emotions that you've been suppressing. And this is a very, very critical point. Take this illustration, for example. When you walk this path to recovery and you come face to face with your demons, this is a very critical point because at this point you have two options. You can either face your demons and work through those emotions, or you can continue running and keep going down that road of addiction. If you choose to face your demons and conquer them, then you will progress and move forward in the healing process. But if you give in to your addictions, you'll avoid the problem temporarily, but you'll just find yourself right back in the same position because that high that you get from your addictions will eventually fade away. And you'll find yourself face to face with your demons once again. And if you just keep relapsing and keep going down that road of addiction, then you will just get stuck in the same self-destructive patterns, going around in circles, not moving forward in life. You will remain stagnant in the same spot until you finally man up and choose to face your demons. And another thing, if you choose to give up an addiction, say for example porn and masturbation, and those suppressed emotions start to come up and you still don't allow yourself to fully process them, but rather just suppress them with something else, say drugs or alcohol, well then you're still not dealing with the root cause of the problem, which is your suppressed emotional trauma. If you just keep suppressing those emotions, even though you give up one addiction, the problem still remains. All you're doing is replacing one addiction with another. Remember, it's not your addictions that's the problem. It's what lies underneath those addictions. Your addictions is just what you use to self-medicate, to numb the symptoms that result from your suppressed emotional trauma. It's your emotional traumas that's causing you to develop addictions. It's causing your life force to be blocked. It's causing you to develop insecurities. It's causing you to attract negative experiences in your life. So if you want to heal, you have to get to the root of the problem and heal those emotional traumas. So here's what you need to do. When you get to that critical point, when you come face to face with your demons, when you start to feel those emotions that you've been suppressing, the key is not to avoid or suppress those emotions, but to fully process those emotions in order to heal. But this is where most people get stuck because, like I said, most people don't even know how to process emotions properly because we've never been taught how to. There are a lot of people that don't process their emotions at all. They just bottle everything up. And there are some people who do express their emotions, but the thing is, just expressing your emotions and venting doesn't mean that you are fully processing them. When you express your emotions, when you vent, it discharges the emotional charge around the associated issue that was triggering that emotion. But if you don't let go of that issue, then after a while that emotional charge just starts to build up again, and you'll just have to keep dealing with that issue. You could keep discharging the emotion by venting, but it'll just keep coming back until you learn to fully process that emotion and let go of that issue. So the first thing you need to do is change your perspective on what your emotional traumas are. Because in our minds, we've built them up to be much bigger than what they really are. I mean, think about it. We've practically demonized our suppressed emotional traumas. We call them our demons, right? So we're making them out to be like these big monsters that we need to slay. And when we look at it that way, we're psyching ourselves out. So we make the issue appear bigger in our minds than it really is. So as a result, we get scared and run away. But if we see it for what it really is, and that it's just a feeling, and really that's what it is, it's just a feeling that needs to be processed. A temporary feeling that will pass if we just allow the emotion to flow. So now when we see it in that way, then the problem doesn't seem so big anymore, right? So now rather than seeing it as this big monstrous demon that we need to slay, now it's just this tiny little issue that we can kind of just flick away, right? When we change our perspective on the magnitude of the issue, then that eliminates a lot of the fear. So now we can deal with those issues a lot easier. Now you just need to know how to fully process emotions properly, not just discharge them, even though that's a part of it, but to completely let go of the issue that was triggering that emotion. By doing this, you fully heal the emotional wound and dissolve the block that it is creating, and the issue will no longer haunt you. You'll be done with it and you can move on. Now, there are a few techniques that you can use to quickly process and heal those emotional traumas. One technique in particular that I've used myself has been very effective in dissolving those emotional blocks very, very quickly. I was actually very surprised at how effective and quickly it worked. And a lot of people who use this technique have reported healing severe emotional trauma within just a few days, where it would have normally taken years to heal through conventional therapy like psychotherapy, because this technique has the ability to heal at a very accelerated rate. And I can vouch for this, because like I said, I've used this technique myself, and I was able to move through the healing process very quickly. And this is key because the longer you're in that negative state when you're processing all those emotions and going through the withdrawal symptoms, the more likely you are to relapse. Because when you don't know how to process emotions properly, then you can be stuck in that negative state for days, even weeks. And who wants to feel that way for that long? That's why most people just end up relapsing, to get out of that negative state. But relapsing will just set you back. You'll be taking steps backwards, and you don't want to do that. So learn these techniques, and you can reduce the time that you spend in those negative states to minutes, literally, rather than weeks. Now, I'm not going to go over those techniques in this video because I don't want to make this video too long. This video is already longer than I wanted it to be. If I went over the techniques in this video, then this video would have been well over an hour long, and I don't want to do that. For this video, I just wanted to focus on making you aware of what the root cause of the problem is first, so that you know what to fix. Now, as far as the information on how to actually fix the issues that I discussed in this video and the techniques to use, what I did is I put all that information into a guide for you guys that takes you step by step through the healing process and teaches you all the techniques to use. Now, I have tried a lot of different techniques in the past. I've read dozens of books on self-development. I've spent countless hours online doing research. I've tried a lot of different things. Some techniques work better than others. Some were really effective. Some didn't work at all. So I just took the most effective ones, the ones that worked the best, and I compiled it all into this guide that I want to share with you guys. Because I know how hard the path to recovery can be, especially if you don't even have the information on how the healing process works. I mean, I've relapsed many times myself, so I feel your pain. So I want to share this information with you guys to make your path to recovery a lot easier. So you can access that guide through my website, and the guide also comes with some videos that I did that complement the information in that guide. But I'll leave you a link to that guide at the end of this video, and I'll also leave a link in the description below. Now, another thing that I go over in this guide is how to develop a confident state of mind. Because here's the thing, once you start going through the healing process and dissolving all those blocks and freeing up your life force, you're going to experience this renewed energy. You're going to have so much more energy flowing through you. So you need to know how to control this energy, because if you can't control it, it's just going to cause more problems. Imagine a hose that's out of control. The water is just flowing through it, but it's not being directed in a proper manner because nobody is controlling it. The water is just flowing out chaotically, creating a mess, and it's just going to waste. Well, this is what happens when you don't have control over your mind, because remember this, energy flows where attention goes. So wherever you direct your attention will determine where your energy flows. So if you don't have control over your attention, then you won't have control over your energy. If your mind is scattered and all over the place, then your energy is going to flow out chaotically. You're not going to be able to focus your energy in a productive manner, and your life will be a mess. And if you don't have your shit together, then women will just get turned off by this, because women want a confident man, right? A man who's in control. They said it themselves in the beginning of this video, right? Because a confident guy is grounded, he's focused, he's calm, cool, and collected. He's in control of his energy. So it's important to develop the right state of mind, because when you have control of your mind, then you have control of your energy. But here's the thing, most people don't even know how to develop confidence, because that's another thing that we've never really been taught how to do. There's a lot of information out there on how to be confident, but most of it is just wrong information. For example, I did a search online because I was curious to see what kind of information people give on how to be confident. So I just Googled how to be confident and went through maybe 5 or 6 of the top sites that came up. And I compiled all the tips that they gave into one list. And they all pretty much gave the same information, but here's the list. I'm just going to go over the bullet points. Believe in yourself. Think positive. Expect success. Take risks. Be assertive. Here's the thing. All of these things are what a confident person does, but it doesn't tell you how to develop the confidence so that you can do these things. I mean, how are you going to be assertive if you don't have the confidence? You have to develop the confidence first before you can be assertive, right? Here are a couple good ones. Appear confident. Practice confidence. Oh, and here's the best one of all. Acquire symbols of worth. For example, material possessions such as money, cars, property, luxury brands, and so on. Or status symbols such as academic qualifications, awards, or your job title. Seriously? See, this is exactly what the problem is. Most people just don't know how to develop true confidence, so they just fake it. So they just try to appear confident by trying to act the way that confident people do, or by wearing the clothes that they wear, or driving the cars that they drive. But when they do that, they're just covering up their insecurities with this facade. They're never really developing true confidence, they're just faking it. So, how do you develop true confidence? Well, you're not going to learn from this stuff. You can forget about that, it's just wrong information. I'll tell you how to develop true confidence, but first, understand that true confidence comes from within. It doesn't rely on external factors. A confident person doesn't seek approval from others, okay? They have high self-esteem, so they believe in themselves. They don't need validation from others. They don't need permission to do what they want to do. See, confidence is a state of mind, so you need to know how to develop that state of mind. Now, there are 4 main factors that I go over in this guide that influence your state of mind. The main thing is your thoughts and beliefs, but also your attention control, or the ability to focus your mind, your brain chemistry, and your emotional trauma, which I just talked about. See, your belief system is like the software of a computer. The commands in the software of a computer determine what the computer can and can't do. And your belief system determines what you can and can't do. So if you believe that you can't do something or that you're not good enough, well, then that's going to be your outcome, because you're inserting that command into your software. Your beliefs determine your limits. So I teach you how to remove limiting beliefs and reprogram yourself with new beliefs that reflect confidence. And then also your attention control, which I just briefly talked about, also influence your state of mind. Because if you don't have control of your mind, then you won't have control of your thoughts, and your thoughts influence your state of mind. If your mind is racing and your thoughts are all over the place, then you're going to be in a stressed state of mind. So you need to calm your mind down and develop attention control. And your attention is like a muscle. You can strengthen it by doing certain exercises, which is all included in the guide. Another thing about attention control is you want to get out of your head, because when we're in our heads, that's when we start to overthink things. Dwelling over the past, worrying about the future, we're constantly overanalyzing everything, constantly judging ourselves. See, when we're in our heads, we become very self-conscious, so it just holds us back and keeps us from being the best version of ourselves. So we want to get out of our heads and into the present moment. But the thing is, when you spend a lot of time in your head, the harder it becomes for you to get out of your head. Because the more time you spend in your head, the more you enforce the neural pathways in the brain that are associated with that action. So it becomes a habit. It becomes your normal state. So trying to get out of your head is like trying to break a habit. You can constantly shift your attention out of your head, but you'll just keep having the tendency to keep wandering back into your head because it's a habit. So in order to break that habit, you have to rewire the brain to develop a new habit. And again, the information on how to do that is in the guide. And your brain chemistry also affects your state of mind, because it determines how well your brain functions. It affects how you think and even affects how you feel. And our thoughts influence our brain chemistry, but also anything that we consume into our bodies, whether it be food, drugs, or alcohol, etc., will also affect our brain chemistry. And if our brain chemistry is out of balance, then that can negatively affect our state of mind. It could be the difference between feeling confident or feeling anxious and depressed. So it is important to maintain balanced brain chemistry in order to ensure optimal brain performance and also to maintain a balanced state of mind. And the information on how to do that is in the guide. And then also your suppressed emotional trauma also affects your state of mind, but I already went over that. Okay, so real quick, let me just recap what the guide covers. So it explains how to increase your sexual energy, how to increase masculine energy so that you develop that strong polarized effect that naturally attracts women, how to heal your emotional trauma, how to dissolve those emotional blocks so that your life force can flow. I go over the techniques that I mentioned in this video, how to break up that emotional armor so that those oppressed emotions do release and come up to be processed, how to reprogram your mind, because once you start healing your emotional trauma and getting rid of your insecurities, then you can reprogram your mind with a whole new belief system, turning you into a brand new person. How to develop attention control, how to focus your mind so that you can control the flow of your energy, how to get out of your head, how to break that habit, how to balance brain chemistry, and also how to accelerate the healing process. Now, there's really nothing that you can do to get around the healing process. It's something you have to go through if you really want to heal. But there are some things that you can do that will not only ease the symptoms, but will accelerate the healing process so that you can significantly reduce the amount of time that you spend in those negative states when you're processing all those emotions. So those are the main things that the guide covers. There's actually a lot more information that's included in the guide, but those are the main things. So here's the link to where you could access the guide. I'll also leave a link in the description below. So check it out, guys. I know it will really help you. I know it definitely helped me, and I can't emphasize it enough how essential it is to get to the root of the problem if you really want to heal. Just skimming the surface, treating the symptoms, replacing one addiction with another isn't going to get you anywhere. You're just going to keep going around in circles, digging yourself deeper and deeper into a hole. You really have to go inside yourselves and face your demons if you really want to heal. But it doesn't have to be as hard as you think it is, as long as you have the proper knowledge to get you through the healing process. So definitely check out that guide. I know you won't be disappointed. There's a lot of valuable information in there. So there you have it, guys. I really hope this video helped. If it did, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I have a lot more videos coming that I know will definitely help you guys. Leave your comments below and I'll see you guys on the next video.